Street talk time. What happened this week in Coronation Street? It was a bad week, I thought, although Friday was slightly better. I think I'm just completely at odds with everybody else at the moment, because this week, literally, especially Monday and Wednesday, I have to say, I hated those episodes. I was completely, nothing grabbed my interest. I was completely uninspired by it. There wasn't anything, I'm sure I'm going to contradict myself in a bit. Nothing there that made me go, oh, that was exciting or good. It just felt off. But everyone on the Facebook group I saw was going, oh, it's quite a good week this week, actually. I quite like this better than last week.
Quite a few people were saying, oh, thank goodness it's back.
Well,
not so bad.
Whereas, because last week everybody hated it, didn't they? And I was like, it was all right.
I hated it.
3, I think I gave it last week. I think you might have given it, or maybe I gave it 3.5 and you gave it 3, or I gave it 3 and you gave it 2.5.
I didn't give it 3.
Yeah,
I hated some of those scenes last week, and this week wasn't that much better.
It really, really wasn't. Today was okay, so I haven't decided yet what score I'm going to give it. But just to warn everybody, it did not float my boat on Monday and Wednesday this week. It really, really didn't. Let's see if we can find out why and unpick that this week. I did give quite a lengthy post on Facebook group after Monday's episode, actually, didn't I? Where I explained my reasons about why it didn't do it for me. And after Wednesday's episode, I thought, I'm not going to post I'm not going to post my thoughts about this one, because I don't want to be a downer. I don't like not liking Coronation Street,
exactly.
Everybody.
And sometimes when you watch it and it's really bad, you think, now what am I going to do?
Yeah, I don't hate it for fun.
Yes, exactly right. It's not recreational hatred.
I don't know whether hate is too strong a term, but it's something just.
Well, Michael, they say often love tends to hate, don't they?
But
you have to love something to hate it.
I'm still not worried, though. I'm not
like
thinking, oh, what's going on with Coronation Street? Will it ever recover? Am I going to... Because it goes through patches like this, doesn't it?
Yes, it's going through a rough patch.
Totally goes through patches. For me, it's going through a rough one at the moment, but I am not scared in the slightest.
Friday was fine.
Friday was fine. Let's start.
Okay,
so the storylines this week, we've got 6 stories. Abby Debbie Doo-Doo. Just sounds nice for that, because we got Debbie back on the street. There's one positive. Nice to see her again this week.
Was the week of people coming back and people not remarking upon
unceremonious returns.
Yeah.
It's like, hello, it's me, I'm Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie, I've just come
back.
Anyway,
you want me to cook you some lunch?
Literally nothing to do with this family for decades before I just turned up to give my stupid brother a load of money.
Yeah, and then...
I am also surprised, actually, that Debbie didn't start to wonder. Maybe this is why she doesn't like Abby, actually. I gave my brother a load of cash. This woman now has appeared and moved in. Is this related? And I wouldn't be... It would make sense if that was... one of the reasons why she was a bit...
Yeah. So we've got a Rabbi Debbie Doo-Doo first, because I think there's going to be a to-do between those. And then Todd Squad. Twiniversary is what I've called the Paul and Gemma's 30th party storyline shenanigans this week. Gemma, you talked about another unceremonious return this week. Johnny was the next one back. He just rocked up on... When was it? Monday's episode, I think? After
lots of people came back.
In France.
It was... Johnny came back... Debbie came back. Those two are quite remarkable, I thought. Then we had Scott turn up out of the blue like he'd never left, and also Ray.
Well, yeah, we're assuming that they
No, I know. Assuming, exactly. The 2 people that kind of had come back, and then 2 people who had never left, supposedly.
Tell you someone else who fits into that category. Summer. She was back this week, first time we'd seen her.
That's true.
And she's grown up since the last time we saw her.
I don't see it as much as other people do.
When I was watching her on Monday, I was like, yeah, she does look older. She's got her hair different. I mean, to be fair, she hasn't had a whole lot to do for, I'm going to say, 1.5 years on Coronation Street. She's been very much side character. I'm sure Matilda's been getting on with her exams and the like. But yeah, noticeably different looking this year. Anyway, Johnny's back, and Johnny's got issues still.
Yeah.
We're so close to finding what those issues were this week. Maybe next week we'll find that out. Then we'll do a bit of Tincognito, and the Yaz fighting storyline was back for a little bit today. So, Abby first. Last week, if you remember, Abby was a very naughty girl and stole some morphine from the hospital. And I was wondering whether there was going to be any comeback from that, whether the hospital were going to notice it, or whether they were going to get a knock on the door at number 13.
There's a pandemic going on and they don't count medicine.
This happens all the time.
And
anyway.
These episodes did answer my question that I had last week, which was, can you just drink morphine? Apparently you can.
Apparently so. Anyway, Abby, Peter's trying to phone Abby on Monday because he saw her stealing this morphine last week.
Yeah, but then he got cut off from confronting her because Kev came in.
Yes, yeah. He comes into the kitchen. He's talking to Debbie on the phone, which was the only warning that the unspoiled viewer got that Debbie was back on the scene again. So alone in the house, Abby takes the drugs outside of the bag just to, show it to the audience and say, look at this. Remember last week I stole this?
Lovely
Everybody
drugs.
are on the same page? Okay, let's continue the story. Peter, meanwhile, at the Rovers, is admitting to Carla that he's a bit worried about Abby. He's not saying why at first, apart from, she had a bus drop on her head last week or something. So she's a bit worse for wear. And he says, I'm just going to go over and see her. This is when Abby was having a good old swig of that morphine.
I don't think he does tell Carla where he's going.
Oh, no.
Because there's a lot of that going on.
I couldn't remember. I thought he did that. Anyway, he comes in just after she's taken some of this morphine and he's like, don't tell me you've taken it. But
also, watching this is like, what? I don't get what the point of it, what morphine does then, because she just looks chilled.
It didn't seem to have any particular effect on her, did it?
Because I know I've told this story before on the podcast about when my mum was in ICU and she was very, very, very barely conscious for a lot of it. She doesn't remember me. I came in almost every day to see her and she doesn't remember, and I want my money back for the parking so it's expensive. But anyway, one of the things that was quite funny was that when she was there, she had morphine and it was connected to a button that she had in her hand, and she used to press it in like a flourish at me because it used to beep when she was allowed more, and she used to kind of hold the button up and like press it theatrically in my face as if to say, here we go, get ready for the good stuff. She actually really enjoyed morphine, but I mean, it's wasted on Abby.
Well, maybe because Abby is such a druggie, you've got to have a bit more than just a little swig to get the full effects of it or something.
Yeah, but that's what happens to addicts who relapse. They overdose because they take far too much because their tolerances have gone down.
Exactly. So she didn't get a chance though anymore because Peter comes in and she doesn't tell him that she's taken any.
I don't think this is supposed to be in any way a realistic portrayal of how to steal and drink morphine.
No.
So we don't need to talk about it anymore.
She tells Peter that as soon as they got home, she threw the bottle in the bin.
She's quite convincing, but we know she's lying.
Yeah, well, Peter knows that she's lying as well because he goes home later and then she starts to have a route about through the bag to have her next hit.
Interesting direction technique.
Oh, yeah, they were just kind of doing quick cuts, weren't they? Yeah, that's quite interesting. Anyway, it turns out we assume that Peter has nicked the bottle because it's not there. So she goes round to the Rovers where he's there vaping away, and I saw some people online saying that he's probably just vaping the morphine.
I said that.
You said that, and I've seen other people saying it as well.
Oh.
But
what? It's not an original thought.
Anyway, she gets a bit of a telling off from him, and then he tips it down the drain. But oh no, Johnny's come out of the Rovers. It's like, what are you doing?
Cliffhanger. I just need to point out that Peter's clearly kept this morphine in his pocket so that he can theatrically dump it out in front of Abby's face.
Yes, so that she knows.
So that we can see Johnny catching them.
I thought
because really, there's no reason for him not to have just thrown it straight in the bin.
No, I thought this was a very poor cliffhanger. By the end of Monday's episode, I was already like, I'm not feeling this, and then that was the cliffhanger, and I was like, so what? Johnny's just walked out and found Peter and Abby doing something together. Why is he going to care? Why is he suspicious of it? Why does Peter care that Johnny, of all people, has caught him and Abby together?
It's because Johnny is his girlfriend's dad.
Yeah, well, that's how they kind of played it on Wednesday, didn't they?
But it was a bit like...
Johnny's like, I hope you're not playing Carla around. But I'm sure that, I mean...
Would you
Peter
really immediately think this?
Exactly, you wouldn't. Peter goes out the back of the Rovers all the time to have a vape probably, and probably quite a lot of that time there are other women there. Sometimes maybe Abby.
Yeah, so, it's a continuous problem on Corrie at the moment that you don't know how much somebody has seen of a conversation, and they use that to kind of enhance the drama, but actually it just gets a bit confusing.
Well, yeah, it all kind of was quickly brushed under the cobbles by 5 minutes into Wednesday's
just
episode.
In case anyone has forgotten, but I think they do mention it, Peter and Abby did have that fling.
Yes, yeah, they mentioned that. Carla mentions that on Wednesday's episode. Anyway, Peter tries to change the subject when Johnny's given him the Spanish Inquisition, in which Abby uses it as an opportunity to get away back to number 13. So Peter follows her home, gives her another massive nagging and says, "You need help, but luckily you got me, ex-addict."
I'm in my everyone's
expert
business.
Peter Varlow.
I love it when
you should come along to one of my meetings. They're not just for alkies, they're for druggies as well. All sorts of addicts. Sex addicts.
What about Coronation?
Telly addicts, yeah, all sorts of that.
Do you remember Telly addicts?
I never used to watch Telly addicts.
Okay.
Anyway, then Debbie shows up because I still don't. They haven't really clarified what she's doing there, has she? She's been in it 2 episodes, and she said, "I've got some business to do round here" or something.
Yeah.
Unless I've missed it, not really sure what she's doing.
I think her job is now to sit smugly and look at Abby and demand to know what her intentions are with her brother.
I can't remember what her job is even. Is that to do with property or something? But she lives abroad somewhere. But she's got some work in Weatherfield. Anyway, Abby and Peter are looking very suspicious. Obviously, they're kind of feeling sheepish because they've been talking about drugs. But Debbie's obviously starting to look at them, and she's getting the idea, what's going on there between those two? And Peter says, "Oh, Abby had a funny turn, so I was helping her out or something." But I don't think Debbie's convinced. So once Peter's gone, we start this tension between Abby and Debbie. And Abby realises she's getting a "don't mess me brother around" chat from Debbie. And this is when we got the line of the week when she says, "Chill your beans, Annie Lennox," which I thought was great. As much as I did not enjoy Monday and Wednesday's episodes, that line did get a chuckle from me. Peter, now what's gone on here? Peter's back in the Rovers again, and he tells Carla, "Oh, I need to go and get my keys." Did he say I lost my keys, or Kevin's got my keys? Or was it to do with...
I've got to go pick my keys up from
Kevin. Yeah, because Kevin had his car at the garage, maybe. But anyway, he goes over to see Abby instead. And was it Abby? Because it was Abby that had the key. I can't remember now. This is bad.
No, what are you talking about?
Who had the... No, Carla had the keys, didn't she?
No,
that's right.
No,
Kevin dropped the keys over.
Yeah, and put them in the free bowl.
Peter just wanted... Thank you. Peter just wanted to go and see Abby.
So
and
he pretended
that
he was going to get the keys.
Correct.
But in the meantime, when he left, somebody dropped them off.
Yeah, Kevin went and dropped her off. Abby's basically... It was just a chance for Abby to say, "No, I don't want to come to your meetings." So Kevin comes... Peter goes back to the Rovers... and Johnny has given Carla Peter's keys from Kevin by that point. So when Peter says to Carla, "Oh, you got your keys from Kevin?" he's like, "Yeah, it's fine." And then she's like, "Well, what's this then? Why have I got
2 sets of keys?"
Yeah. So there's a bit of toing and froing, and eventually he spills. He realises he's been backed into a corner there. He can't get out of it, so he tells her everything. But
immediately just tells her everything, which I thought was like, oh, we're not going to have 3 weeks of him pretending.
Well, thank goodness he did open up and tell the truth.
Well, this is what needs to happen a bit more in soap. So, and when it does happen, we complain about it.
Yeah. So anyway, Carla says to him, "Look, I don't think you spending all your time with your ex is a very good idea, actually. Don't you remember when I was an alcoholic, you supported me, and now look where we are." I don't want that to happen to you and Abby again, thank you very much.
Also, you and Abby had a thing already.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, I'm only trying to help her." So Abby calls Peter up again later. Carla is sitting in the Rovers next to Peter, stony-faced, as this conversation's going on. Abby's basically saying, "Sorry, again, these meetings really aren't for me, and if I'm going to get any help, I'm going to get it myself, thank you very much." And so he puts the phone down and then promises to Carla, "Look, I know what I'm doing, it's fine. I'm not going to go there with Abby, don't worry. I just need to help her." And then that is it for that episode. Friday, not much. Debbie cooks lunch and wants to find out again.
An amazing recipe.
I don't know whether they said what the recipe was.
Yeah,
she starts to quiz Abby a little bit about what's the deal with you and Kevin then, what's the situation, what's going on here, and Abby doesn't really want to talk about it, so she gets away. I think, again, during the episode, it looks like has Peter been texting her or something? It seems like she's going off to go and see Peter, but we don't get to see any of that. I guess we have to wait until Monday for that one. So that was basically that for this week. So the question that I have on this is is this a really obviously telegraphed affair? Because they're basically saying, looks like they might have an affair. Is that going to happen? Or is it a bit of smoke and mirrors and something else is going to happen? I think I'm hoping that it's going to go a different way, because I said last week I don't want there to be a drug story. I don't want Abby to go and you know, fall off the wagon. I don't want this to be about her struggling with her addictions or anything like that, because it feels like Corrie's already done that fairly recently, and I'd wanted Abby to have turned a corner. But I equally don't want her to have an affair with Peter. I don't want this to be a love triangle with Abby, Kevin, Peter and Carla. So I'm hoping that the fact that they have said, don't you have an affair, means they're not going to. What do you think?
Oh, I don't. I'm nothing about this is making me go, oh girl, gosh, what will happen? Now I'm so excited to find out, because I can't really add anything to what you've just said. I don't want to keep seeing Abby with drug problems. I totally understand that she will, you know, if this was real life, she would always struggle. I don't watch. It's not a documentary though. I don't really need everything to be.
It's weird because Sally Carman is one of the best actresses, I think, that they've got currently on the show. And usually she can deal with, you know, any material brilliantly, and whatever it is, I'm engaged because this is an Abby story and because Sally does an excellent job. And I still think that she is putting in a great performance, but I'm just not bothered. I'm not bothered by the material that she's being given, and even Abby is not, you know, giving this story a whole lot of spark.
And I'm also really sick and tired of Peter turning up like clockwork every single time anybody gives an inappropriate look to some kind of substance that they're addicted to. You know what I mean? He's there all the bloody time. He was there with Yasmin. She's not even an alcoholic.
It's the
I'm
thing
so
is,
bored of him.
It's in character. I know exactly what you mean, but it's very much in character.
I know it's totally
and I would also
realistic.
say it's fairly true to life. If people have gone through these addiction problems and come out the other side,
It's so preachy.
they want to help other people.
I know, it's
but
just
it
really
does
annoying.
come across as quite preachy, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you know, with good reason, which makes it even more infuriating. Yeah, I am sick. I am. This does feel like just. It feels like we've just got scraps of other stories and put them in a little random story generator and come out with something. You know, like, oh, Carla is worried that Peter is having an affair with Abby because she is addicted to morphine. You know,
Do you think?
many variations of the same story arc. And
Do you think that Carla is rightly worried, or is she just being a bit paranoid about it?
no, I think she was fair. It's fair enough because he's lying to her.
Peter has had.
He's run around before.
Yeah, he's been
got
a bigamist.
people murdered. Yeah.
The thing is, though, I've felt in the past, I don't know, year and a half that they've been back together again. They've been a fairly solid couple. I think that
As
Chris.
in boring.
Well, no, I think that they've got good chemistry. I think Chris and Annie have got great chemistry. I think that they seem to fit together. And yes, putting them back together again does feel like a bit of a retread. But, you know, I complain enough about, you know, characters that are only together 5 minutes and then they split them up. So I don't want to complain too much when there's a couple that have got quite a long history together, and maybe they're going to try and build something solid here. So, yeah, I can't remember what my point was now, but it feels like, especially with the story that they had a couple of months ago when those people from the estate came round and Peter was really supportive of Carla, it seemed like they were, you know, doubling down on that relationship, and strong, solid relationships are few and far between on Coronation Street at the moment. So I don't want anything to get in the way, and the fact that Peter was so supportive when that happens would make me think that, maybe hope that Carla would trust him more. You know,
Meh.
he helped her out when she was in a bit of a spot. Did he? I suppose he didn't go.
I just genuinely don't understand, why did he lie to her in the first place about where he was going?
I think it was because of, you know.
I know, but Because I'm being honourable.
Patient confidentiality because he sees himself as the the drug doctor.
Yeah, it just seemed like, and then within seconds he just says, "All right, I admit."
Which is good. Which is another point in favour of. I think that they are, a good fit together. Please don't. Throw a spanner in the works.
I've never liked Peter and Carla together.
No, I remember you saying I don't mind them. I think that they fit, but they have been another couple who we haven't seen a whole lot of in the past year, have we? They've made a thing about them getting together after the whole boat incident last year, and we've not really seen too much of them. But
at the moment, they're the one of the least exciting couples for me, and I know they've even got their own fan base. Of people that just love them together, but to me they're so boring because neither of them do anything.
That's interesting you say that, because you're right. I'm not particularly excited by them as a couple, but I don't know whether you need to be excited in a couple to be a good couple.
Yeah, you do. Otherwise, they're boring.
Well,
what do they do? He goes around and sort of. He's like an evangelical anti-drug person now. He just preaches all the time to everybody who even looks like slightly they might be in trouble, and she's just even though she's back at the factory, I'm still waiting for her to get exciting again. She used to be my favourite character.
Well, this Abby story is clearly not over, and with everything that's going on with Scott and Johnny
at the moment. My problem with it is, though, is I can't see anybody coming out of this and being more interesting or likeable than they are already. And that's what I'm worried about, because Carla and Peter, their relationship being challenged by Peter trying to help, I don't care. Abby's fine, Abby's great, love Abby so much, but please, I don't want any more drug storylines with her. And also, having her and Debbie at loggerheads is just kind of making Abby look like a dickhead.
Yeah, let's move on to the Debbie stuff then. So
she's really making no effort whatsoever to ingratiate herself with Debbie, and it's obvious that Debbie's going to cause trouble for her if she doesn't buy into their relationship.
I'm finding that Debbie's coming on a bit too full on at the moment, and I think if I was Abby, really and I've only fairly recently, in the grand scheme of things, moved in with my fella and set up home with him, and now this quite, in your face sister comes in and dumps her stuff and's like, I'm living here now for a bit. And then starts questioning her and saying, what's the deal with you and my brother? I think if I was Abby, I would be feeling the same thing. It's like, who's this that's come swans in and thinks that they're ruling the roost?
Certainly you would definitely feel quite rightly that she has no business sticking her nose in and interrogating you. But you would also recognise that you're now on notice and you have to put a bit of effort into winning her over to your side rather than doing what she did, which is like, no, I don't want lunch, I'm not hungry, oh, I didn't eat it, I'm just going to check my phone and run. Literally, she ran away from the table as soon as she possibly could. And Debbie's like, let's get to know each other, I want to make you a nice lunch. And yes, you know that there's
an ulterior motive,
but you have to just grin and bear it and take it. I know that she's older and she probably thinks to herself, I don't need to win over people's family and friends anymore, we're beyond that. But I don't think you ever really are beyond that. Whenever you have a new partner and you have to meet their family, you've got to put the effort in. She's just not doing it because obviously she's distracted with being addicted to drugs and the fact that her twins have gone to Australia. But it is true to say that Debbie's going to cause problems now.
Yeah, she's been put in there to be the catalyst for more drama, hasn't she?
So is it then going to be the case that she causes drama and between Kevin and Abby, and then that makes Abby confide more in Peter?
Yeah, she's going to be driven into the arms
and then Peter's
of Mr.
like,
Pollock.
listen, I know how you feel, and they talk and they get close and, whatever.
Maybe. What are your thoughts on Debbie being back in general? Were you happy to see her?
I don't know why she's here.
I know, I'm a bit confused because I can't remember when the reports came out. I don't even know that we talked about it on the podcast. I think we probably didn't because it's fairly low-key that she's coming back again. I mean, I'm always happy to see names from the past, especially if they're played by the original actress, and the fact that what's her name, Sue Devaney, I think, who first played Debbie back in the when was it, 84, I'm gonna say, is still in the role. Brilliant, I love it. But I don't feel like I know the character enough to be excited that she's back. I'm like,
no.
Okay, fine.
And if she's just back to cause a rift between Kevin and Abby, it's like, well,
it's
don't
not
need
do,
you
yeah,
to
do
do
herself
that.
any favours with me.
There were already so many ways that they could.
Yeah. I honestly don't know whether this is going to be a long-term or a short-term return, because she was only in it for, a week last year,
I'd hope that it was a long-term return.
I would hope so too.
It feels very anticlimactic.
I'm interested to know about her, but yeah, I don't want her to just be an antagonist, and she does feel... She seems like she's the sort of person that could really get on people's wick.
Yeah, she definitely seems...
She seems
like
a bit up herself.
Yeah, but I think she's in the right here.
You reckon?
I am wondering whether she's going to bring the money up. Because that was a very good reason for you to immediately be suspicious of somebody.
Yeah.
And she's, right off the bat, she's come in going, who the hell do you think you are? I'm going to find out whether you're good enough for my brother. But, her brother's old enough to decide for himself. It would make sense if she was like, listen, I love that boy Jack like he's my own son. You come in here and you break his heart. Never mind Kevin.
Yeah, and I think that she probably looks down on Abby because of Abby clearly being from, she's an estates lass, isn't she? And I know that Debbie she lived in Weatherfield for a bit, but it seems like since then she's moved to Southampton. She's made a thing of herself. She's a successful businesswoman.
They don't let anybody live here.
I think that she looks down on the working class of Weatherfield. I would say. I think she thinks she's
I don't know
better
enough
than
about
them.
the character.
There isn't much to know. That's the problem. I'm just kind of making assumptions here, and I think that she thinks that she's better.
Come in
Look at what I've made of myself, kind of first
lovely
person.
Coordinated outfit. Looked very swish, didn't she?
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. Depends on what she's been told about Abby's past, because if she's been told the half of what Abby has gone through, you would be, this woman is bad news. What's she going to do to Kevin?
Yeah, it makes me wonder whether she or Kevin will find out about the morphine incident first, or the relapse, because sure as eggs is eggs, the word is going to get to Kevin eventually that this has been happening. And if Debbie finds out, will somebody say, "Oh, don't tell Kevin whatever you do," and she'll be like, "Well, watch me." So I'm kind of interested in that, but I want to like Debbie, and at the moment I'm just interested to see an old face back.
It's weird because I got a different impression from it than you, because I was on Debbie's side.
Yeah, I don't think I am yet.
And I was thinking, yeah, Abby, you're better than this. Why aren't you even putting in any effort at all? Like, this woman, she's come in, she said, look, I don't want you to mess my brother around. And yeah, that does put you at odds with her, but you're really on the same side, because Abby doesn't want to mess Kevin around either. And then she says, I'll make you a lunch, and then Abby doesn't even bother eating it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
I just thought she was being really, really rude.
I think that we need to have like a Rovers scene or something. Not that the Rovers is open properly, but for Debbie to start to mingle with some of the rest of the street and then start to find things out about this woman.
It is a very big loss in the show that there are no communal spaces that you can really speak to people in, apart from Dev's at the moment.
Yeah, I mean...
And sometimes the cabin.
Yeah, I'm not complaining that they're giving the cafe a rest, though. So I got very fed up in the last couple of years of the almost exclusive use of the cafe for the communal meeting spot. Right, let's move on to the next big mystery then, Gemma, the Todd Squad.
Oh dear, it ended with a very dramatic...
it did, yeah.
Very dramatic cliffhanger that we know is going to lead to nowhere.
Yeah. Although I was pleasantly surprised how the big secret that Billy and that lot had about Todd being maybe back in the picture again. I thought that this was going to be kept from Paul for a lot longer, and then Paul was going to maybe find out about the party and he'd be angry about it and all, but pretty early on in Monday's episode, the truth comes out to Paul, doesn't it?
They're not as bad as they used to be about keeping secrets for no real reason, but we still don't know what the hell's going on with Scott, so...
No, I feel that we're close.
Yeah.
Tantalisingly
that's a
close.
secret that's being kept from the viewers rather than from a character in a story for no reason. So on Monday, Sean is down in the dumps, and he tells Mary that he's worried about Eileen.
Yeah, she still doesn't know about it, does she?
No, she doesn't know about the letter, which doesn't make sense because it was addressed to her, nobody else. It's not really their business to keep it from her.
It's for her own good.
Really, is it? Billy tells Paul all about the Todd stuff, and so now we get to see Paul find out. We didn't, like you said, didn't know if it was going to be a secret. He is fairly balanced about what Todd used to be like.
Yeah, and Paul was, he kind of wanted to know as well, didn't he? He was not, I don't care about your ex. Don't involve me about it. He was fairly kind about it, I thought, which was nice. Ring
Sean. You talk to him about it because if you're worried, basically.
Yeah.
So Billy goes to visit Sean in the factory, and Sean has been trying to find Todd online.
Yeah, he's been doing a bit of spot of Todd hunting, hasn't he?
Yeah, and they're worried that he's in trouble, and they can't go to the police because he's on the run still. So, like us, they are under the assumption,
under the impression that he's got a bounty on his head.
Yeah. So that they're sort of at a loss, but then they go anyway. So that didn't really last very long.
Yeah, first they're like, we can't really tell the police, I think, and then maybe we should go to the police. Okay, we've gone to the police. But they don't find out much.
Yeah, and they say, why don't you go to the missing persons charity? What was it called?
Finding people.
Oh, this really annoyed me. They see Craig outside and tell him what's going on, and he's like, oh, let me look into it. So he goes away and comes back and says, oh, don't worry about it. Todd's actually free to do what he wants now because the police found him, they questioned him, and they released him, and it's all like it never happened. And everyone's like, how come we didn't know about this? What does Eileen know? Why hasn't Todd been back in touch with any of us?
It does feel like the whole issue was just swept under the carpet conveniently because that was a bit of the story that they didn't need to have as a millstone hanging around its neck.
Yes, they were like, this has caused a problem for us.
Yes, he stole a child, punched a police officer, absconded, but we gave him a good old talking to, and he said he'd never do it again, promise, so he's free to go.
Yeah, we had a list of things that you have to, like, he's white, he's a guy, he's educated, he had a posh accent, he did have a scar on his face, but that was outweighed by all the other things, like fine upstanding citizen, and a solicitor, and we were scared of him, so we just let him go.
He swore he definitely didn't used to be a buddy with Pat Phelan.
Yeah, and he said he'd never ever do it again, but he did admit that he did do it, so we just went, fair enough. To be honest, don't want to do any more paperwork on this, so see you later. Hopefully not see you later. So, that's the question. Why has Todd been away if it wasn't because he was in legal trouble? So on Wednesday, we get another scene of a character being told something that we already know. So Billy and Sean go and tell Mary this, and Billy's like, oh, I'm going to go and look up the Finding People charity. And he gets back home later and says to Paul, I got in touch with them, but nothing really happened. Like, we've just got to keep hoping and try and find him. And I'm only looking because I'm worried about Eileen, honestly. It's not because I fancy him still. On Friday.
Yeah, they suggested a poster campaign or something.
How's that going to work?
Don't know. Billy should say, oh, I've got a load of pictures of him in my wallet here. I'll just turn
these. He just opens it and it flips out.
I definitely don't still fancy him, Paul. Don't worry.
Don't worry. On Friday, Billy comes to see Carla about something. What was that about?
I don't know. He wants to speak to
with the
Carla
Harvest Festival.
in the factory. But he ends up chatting to Sean, doesn't he?
She's going to donate knickers to the homeless. So he ends up chatting to Sean, who he knows is thinking about Todd. And then Sean comes out with this macabre, like there's Billy, and it kind of like does show the difference in their personality. Like Billy's like, oh, I'm sure he's fine. I'm gonna get to the Finding People charity, and we're gonna track him down. And then Sean's like, I've got this website where you can look at dead people.
It's called identifyingcorpses.com.
It's all the people that they found dead. So I'm just going through. to see if I can spot him.
He wasn't completely blasé about it, was he? But when he and Billy were looking through the website together, Billy was like,
"Oh, this is horrible.
I can't
what are you
do
doing?"
That.
And Sean was like, "La, I'm just being helpful," wasn't he? He said, "So I'd just like to feel helpful."
He was, yeah, no, he wasn't. It wasn't quite that. That's
like me. That's like me going on this serial killer subreddits and like unsolved mysteries, going just being helpful to read about this murder.
I don't think he was really enjoying it, but he was.
Well, we weren't supposed to think.
He was like, Gemma, he's seen worse. He's been homeless.
I know. That's how we knew about it. That's how we knew about it, because he's got a friend who's homeless. Well, from when he was homeless, also.
Yes.
Don't forget. So they go looking through the bodies, and Billy's like, "This is gross." I don't know why he thinks it's gross.
I like he's just acting out, scrolling on your hand. It's like this is a scroll wheel of bodies. It's like no.
Oh, nice though. It's like Tinder for corpses. Swipe right. Is that which way do you do it? I don't know. Swipe left.
What do you call a Tinder for corpses?
I don't want to think about it. But yeah, then while he's literally holding his phone, it goes boop boop. What's that? I've got a notification on my phone to let me know.
Nobody in Weatherfield knows how to put their phone on silent, honestly.
No, I know, but this is also weird. Like, he says he's in a forum.
Yes, I thought we were going to sort the same thing. He's a notification from a forum.
From a forum for people specifically for Weatherfield dead bodies. And they've said they found a body in the canal.
You know what the crime rate is like in Weatherfield, I'm just saying.
They found a body in the canal, and the cliffhanger for this story at the end of this week.
It's clearly not Todd, is it?
It can't be Todd.
Because, I mean, Coronation Street has been known to use the whole "there's a body been dredged up in the canal" before.
Well, we did a thing, didn't we?
We did. I'm just going to open this window up because I was as soon as he said it, it was like, sure, they just used that a few years ago. There was a time when somebody went to identify a body that had been dragged out of the canal and it wasn't them. And that turned out that was Jude when he went missing, and Mary and Angie had to go and identify the body. That was a really well done scene,
because
actually,
Mary had to sit outside, didn't she? And Angie went inside to go and see whether this was Jude's body.
Yeah, and I think the camera lingered on Patty.
Yeah. Very good.
So I'm just going down Coropedia where I've searched body and canal. So apart from that example, we've also got 2003. The police haul a body out of the canal. Gail goes to identify it. That's probably Richard Hillman there. We've got May 2011. John and Fizz dump Colin's body in the canal. 25th of September 2015. David makes a plan to borrow Nick's van and use it to take Callum's body to the canal and dump it. 2002 September, the police explained to Richard they found a body in the canal matching Patricia's description, and we know that wasn't Patricia because she had a building on top of her at the time.
Yeah, so basically the canal is swimming with corpses in Weatherfield.
Basically is. We got October 2015. There's been this is after Callum's been murdered. There's an unknown body's been pulled out of the canal.
That's because they dumped it there, isn't it?
Did they dump it there?
Oh no,
they didn't.
It's a different person. You're right. It's a different person.
None of these. My point is that they're either characters that are dumping a body in the canal, or they're being told a body's been dragged out of the canal at the exact moment that they're wondering where this person is.
Yes, this seems to happen
October
quite a lot.
2007. Police tell Gail that David's car's been found in the canal and that they're looking for his body.
And they say it's weird because normally we just find them straight off.
October 2015. Somebody tells Michelle that there's a body that they found in the canal.
2012.
They're shocked to learn that the man's body fitting Peter's description has been found in the canal. So
yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm just saying it's becoming a bit of an overused trope, and maybe the drama
stop putting bodies in canals
isn't there anymore.
But how often do people? I think people end up in the canal quite often.
What, in real life?
Yeah.
What, dead people?
No, they're alive when they go in usually. Well, this is the story, like the myth of the Manchester Pusher. Yeah. And there's also a series of things called the Smiley Face murders, which is like a conspiracy theory that there's a serial killer that goes around pushing people into bodies of water. But the real thing is that drunk people around water, bad mix.
Yeah.
I was also reading a story today about somebody who went missing in a lake, and the search and rescue found a body, took it out of the lake, went and said, "Here you go," and they identified it, and it was somebody that had gone missing 30 years ago, but the corpse was so well preserved in the cold water
that they
thought it was somebody that literally just went missing.
Wow.
Interesting.
I'm assuming then that this is not the toddy body. But I was just a little bit disappointed in this story this week. I'm glad that they pulled away from the slapstick that they were going with it last week, but I was a bit disappointed that there weren't very many developments.
I want to know why Sean has immediately gone to looking at corpses on the internet, because the reason that they know that the reason that they were alerted to Todd's existence in the story was that he sent a letter.
Yeah, but
but because his bag was found
next to the canal,
and the woman was like, "Oh, I just found it." Oh.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. Why would you think that just because he's lost his bag, he's dead?
If there's a bag next to a canal and you're wondering what's happened to someone, I think it's not, I think it's fairly natural to start thinking, what if he's in the canal? Then that little thought's going to niggle at you. And Paul, as whatever we were saying earlier, Sean wasn't looking on there just because he fancied having a look at who's been dragged out the canal recently. He was worried, and I think that Anthony's doing a pretty good job of seeming pretty concerned and worried about it. I just
think it's a bit of a weird leap to go from, because they still don't know whether he wrote the letter or not.
Yeah, but they're kind of clutching at straws at the moment, aren't they? The police aren't helping them, so your mind goes to dark places. So I think I don't think that that's out of the ordinary, honestly. But as I say, I'm still not convinced by the cliffhanger. But yeah, I wish that we'd been told a little bit more. I still feel like I'm a bit in the dark about if Craig's gonna, go and do some snooping again and tell people things that he shouldn't be telling them. I want to get the full story there. I want to know more about what's going on.
What do you mean?
I'm confused. I'm just desperate to know where Todd is, and I want to be told now. I don't want to wait months to find out.
I don't think that Craig knows any more than he said.
No, maybe not. But Craig, you need to flip and lose your job. I'm starting to think that the only reason that Craig was made a policeman in Coronation Street was so that they could have somebody who's a shortcut for characters to find out things that they shouldn't really know in real life.
But
it's the same with when they have characters working at the medical centre. It's just a shortcut to finding people's medical records.
But is it actually? Are you not allowed to give this information out?
I don't think so.
Is it like I don't think it's private though, is it?
I don't think I got the impression that Craig was being a bit.
And here's an interesting
sneaky
point. One of the things that Todd was doing, and the reason he was in trouble with the police was because he ran off with Summer.
Yeah.
So Billy is the guardian of a person who had a crime committed against them, and so we're supposed to believe that the police found the person who kidnapped Summer, spoke to him and went, "Do you know what? We can't be bothered. Just go free." And then didn't tell Billy or Summer what had happened. Because this is a criminal that's on the run, who was as far as they knew, still very much in danger of returning and trying to get Summer back.
It would have been, just as a courtesy.
Yeah,
get in touch with Billy and say,
"I know you're living in fear.
Don't want to alarm you, but."
Well, no,
he is back on the large again. He said he could go and he promised he wouldn't come back again.
Yeah, but to say the person who kidnapped you is now on the loose. Maybe
that's why Todd hasn't come back and he's keeping his distance, because he just thinks, I just might snatch her again.
I can't help myself. She's so adorable. She's so grown up now. Have you seen her?
Yeah, I was. I also thought I was quite annoyed at Billy this week. I think that he was honestly being a bit of an arse, that this was taking up so much of his time on his boyfriend's birthday, and this kind of leaks into the next story with Paul and Gemma. But he could have waited a day to have done his investigating, and I think that Paul was incredibly gracious.
Paul is nice in the service of the story, isn't he?
Yeah. I think, honestly, it was very, very out of order of Billy.
Everybody treated Paul like crap on his birthday.
Yeah, well, should we just segue into this then? Because I'm not a mega Paul fan, but I did feel sorry for him this week because he had a pretty rotten birthday, didn't he? Until the afternoon, and even then he only got a couple of bowls of crisps.
Go on, it's your turn.
Oh, sorry, it's my turn, isn't it? So, Gemma is also seems to be having a bit of a rubbish birthday, although she's chuffed with this toaster that Chesney's got her.
Well, Bernie's like, that's rubbish.
Gemma thinks it's great. She loves this toaster. Paul is having a lovely morning at first, but he's worried about Gemma being depressed because she didn't want to go to this. Well, she didn't want to have a party with him. She
basically sort of says, and everybody kind of implies.
Yeah. So Billy says, anyway, Paul, let's go for a walk later, I think. Paul goes over to number 5. Gemma's got to hide all the surprise birthday party stuff because she's plotting to throw a surprise party for him.
Well, listen, previously he said, let's have a karaoke party together and do lots of dancing and singing. She says, no, I don't want to. So it's both their birthdays, and he comes around just to see his bloody sister on the day that, although they had not been close before because he was in prison and all this stuff, like the childhood, you know, so he comes around to see her, and then they hide everything. And then he's like, let's go for a walk, you and me, Gemma. And then Bernie's like, no, I'll come with you.
Or maybe it was Paul asking Billy to go for a walk earlier. I can't remember.
But basically, everybody's like, oh no, we don't want to spend time with you because they want to enhance the surprise for later.
Yeah.
You don't need to do this.
This is going to be the party of all parties that's worth all of this.
Yeah, to make him super, super bummed out so that he can actually be excited by a sausage roll.
Yeah, he ends up going for a walk with Bernie, doesn't he? And he's like saying, I'm a bit worried about Gemma at the moment, actually. And Bernie's like, oh, don't worry, she's fine. You don't need to be worried about this. So because when he goes back up to the flat later, there's Summer with bowls of crisps and Monster Munch and sausage rolls
beige
and
party food.
Yeah, and a big icingy ring cake.
Well, he comes
Paul
up.
Thinks that's just marvellous.
And she's like, don't come in, Paul. I'm doing your surprise buffet.
I know.
And then he comes in and goes, wow, what is this? This is amazing.
It was a very lacklustre reveal from Summer.
This was the dumbest
She's
thing
just like,
I've seen for ages.
And
he's excited by it.
He's excited by it, but I didn't feel the excitement. It felt like, I know he wasn't. It felt to me like he was putting on the excitement because what he was being presented with wasn't the most exciting a birthday.
And this is the other thing that's stupid about this.
And maybe that's just me looking down on him. And maybe, it was very nice and kind of them and everything.
No, it isn't. It's his birthday.
But they have put on a party, and not everybody gets a nice birthday party.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be. I
just thought it'd be bigger than that.
So did I. I had it in my mind what I thought it was going to look like, and it was going to look stupid. But at least it was more effort than this. I don't understand why this was down to Gemma and Bernie to arrange when he lives in a house with 2 other adults and a child, and even Summer could have done this by herself.
Well, it looked like she had at the end of the day, didn't it?
What exactly did Gemma do to plan this party?
Well, she got the PJ and Duncan CD.
That's not even part of this yet, is it, though?
No.
So far, what has happened in this storyline is Paul said, should we have a party? And Gemma said no. Then they've run around going, he doesn't suspect a thing. He's got no idea we're having a party.
Chickens in the coop.
And then everyone keeps going, Gemma, this is too expensive. The cost of this is mounting up. I can't believe you want to get normal-sized sausage rolls and not buffet-sized sausage rolls.
That.
And then he comes round and they hide everything, which I presume is just those bags of Co-op good stuff that they bought, which, just put them in the cupboard. He's not going to look in there. And then they say, no, Paul, we don't want to spend time with you. And then they give the bags of food to Summer, who then has to decant them into various bowls. And then when he comes in, it's literally him and Summer in the house together.
No.
And she's like, this is your party.
No, this is your party. She didn't feel she didn't sound like she was feeling this party. I think that's her
thing, though. I think that's her thing.
I think maybe you're right.
She's very cool.
She is.
She's like, chill, she knows this is a crap party as well. She's like, yay. But
tell you what, the real party is out on the street, because he looks out that window and there's his sister down there with a bag, with a blue bag with a 30 on. So he rushes down there.
We had to wait till Wednesday.
That's the cliffhanger. What's in the bag? Have they actually got a signed PJ and Duncan LP? Yes, they have. He gets it out, and then they have a nice song and dance number to Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Lovely.
I hated that.
I found it very cringeworthy.
So basically,
and maybe I'm just being a grumpy old man, because I did see a lot of people that enjoyed it. There's always people who enjoy everything on Coronation Street. There's never anything that's universally disliked, but I did see lots of people liking this, and great. I don't look down on people that like things that I don't.
Well,
I'm pleased for you, but it wasn't my thing.
What happened was Gemma Paul, Bernie and Summer were all standing in a square together on the side of the road, and then Bernie played Let's Get Ready to Rumble by PJ and Duncan, which is still a banging tune to this day. Plays it on her phone, and then Paul and Gemma did some kind of synchronised dance to it, while Bernie in the background just shuffled around and kind of like tried to...
She was getting into it
She was as well, but my question is, was this a dance from the song? Because I don't remember there being a dance to this song.
Yeah, I think it was.
So this was the actual dance.
I think this is the Anton Deck.
The thing is that the two actors had to learn this for this scene, and I don't think it was worth anyone's time even to watch them do it.
I thought they did a good job with it.
They did a great job. One thing on Coronation Street at the moment is all the actors are completely selling as hard as they can some of really dire storylines, like Abby, like Sally Carmen selling "I am stuck underneath" at the world's smallest and lightest car engine that's only pinning down a tiny part of my shoulder.
Yeah.
You had Paul selling I could not be more thrilled by this bucket of Monster Munch. And then they to do that scene, to dance together, knowing that some people would hate it and make fun of them. Again, I take my hat off to them, because they did it and they looked happy. But to me, it felt like I was watching a soulless pair of puppets, because I wasn't getting anything out of it. They didn't do anything wrong, but for me, I was watching it and I was just like, what is the future of mankind? Should we just all let coronavirus kill us?
If it was characters that I cared more about, and that I wasn't thinking, especially one half of these has been in the show far too much in the past year and a half, maybe I'd have enjoyed it more. But one of my things that I don't like in any medium is characters suddenly breaking into song and dance, unless it's like a musical. I was going to
say, in a musical,
and I'm expecting it. That's fine. But when sitcoms or whatever, how they suddenly have characters just start singing, and
but
that's
I do that
joke.
To you sometimes. I sometimes
don't like
do a dance to you.
That's what they started to do in the Vicar of Dibley in the last few series, which were rubbish.
Remember that happening.
That's what flipping Donkey does on Shrek, and you know what I think about Donkey in Shrek.
Do you hate it when I do it to you then? Because I do it quite a lot.
No, I just don't like it when they put it in plots of things to be that's the joke. Look at these characters; they're having a great time.
I think this was their attempt to do a socially distanced party that was fun and exciting and looked and made sense, and they did the best they could. But I thought it was stupid. At least they tried to do something. I just think, forget it.
Right. Before we move on...
Oh, what?
I've just got other things to say about this story. Well, we were talking about Billy being an arse earlier, wouldn't he? Because he was only able to watch it on the video because he was too busy trying to find his... Oh, yeah,
he watched the video. And that was, again, amazing acting. Dan Brocklebank going... Look at this funny video of you two dancing. Oh, it looks brilliant. He genuinely looked thrilled and like he thought it was hilarious. And again, amazing acting.
I think it's another one of these things that sometimes they get the actors to do things and they think, wouldn't it be funny if actors were doing this? And I always go back to getting Malcolm Hebden to dress up as Batman, which was the least funny thing I've ever seen on Coronation Street. But I can imagine that when they got the idea together, they thought, this is going to be hilarious because we get to get Malcolm to dress up like this. And I think it was silly. It was probably funny. Everybody involved probably had a great time doing it.
Yeah.
Good, which is great. But it's just not for me. Anyway, Billy was being a massive arse and he needs to... pull his finger out a bit more. Oh, and we haven't even finished the synopsis of this because we got another scene that I didn't like, which was Gemma going home to Chesney and explaining in her long-winded way about how she managed to get PJ and Duncan's autograph, which was she knows Vanessa, and Vanessa works... Does Vanessa work at an antique shop or
Vanessa's
a collectible
friend
shop?
Works in a collectible shop.
And then they know someone who grooms the dog of Anton Deck.
And somehow
6 degrees of separation, everyone.
Somehow they've managed to get them to sign something from like the 90s.
And it was personalised, wasn't it? Because it said to Paul.
Genuinely, I was expecting
so in the space of about 2 days.
Yeah, I was genuinely just expecting it to be a picture of PJ and Duncan signed by Ant and Dec.
Yeah.
With nothing written like to Paul or anything, and it would have saved us the scene where we find out how they got this.
But that wasn't the worst part of the scene.
The
worst part of that scene was the cliche end of scene going, "Oh, so where's my present? You know, me sexy present.
Where's my present of shagging?"
Basically.
Look, do you not think you got in trouble bad enough the first time with these 4 children?
Yeah.
If there's going to be anything that ever puts you off sex for life, it's having quads.
I don't enjoy it when...
No, I hated that. I thought that was horrible.
No.
What?
I don't hate it as much as you do. If there's characters, if it's when I used to like Sally and we said moany gits today. When they used to have Sally and Tim together, and I really liked them as a couple. When they had Sally leading Tim up to the bedroom, or whatever, or when it used to be their tradition that when there was a wedding, Sally and Tim would duck out of it for some rumpy-pumpy.
Oh, it makes us randy.
I quite enjoyed that. I thought that was quite funny, but I don't like the idea of Chesney and Gemma.
You're just being...
forming the beast of 2 backs.
You're just being snobbish.
It doesn't make me go, oh, bless them.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't ever go, oh,
nice
they're
going to get a healthy life.
There's never any time at which I watched a couple and go, oh, they're shagging. That's so sweet. You know what I mean? I don't know. When they kiss, I get squicked out. I don't need to see it.
You don't like that, do you?
I don't. I just like, why don't you make her a cup of tea?
Now, while I'm in ranty mode,
yes.
Not only am I annoyed at Billy for ditching his boyfriend to go and look up to try and find Todd this week.
To be fair, he didn't know the moves, so let's get ready to rumble.
What I also hated was the bracelet scene at the end.
Yeah, me too. This was really offensive.
So what happens is, at last, what am I talking about? Billy gives... Peter's Paul, isn't it? Paul...
What?
Peter is Paul.
Right.
Paul is presented with this bracelet in a box from Billy, and he thinks it's brilliant. And I can't remember exactly what they said, but basically, Billy says, well, I can't marry you in church, so this bracelet will do.
Yeah, I hated this. This was such an affront.
Billy was basically saying, can't marry you in church, so we'll just carry on living in sin, I guess.
Well, it was also like going... I can't marry you in church, so we will just never get married, because my belief that we're not allowed to get married in church is more important than my commitment to you as ongoing. And it was like the writers thought we were going to go, oh, that's really sweet. It isn't at all.
Now,
offensive.
I didn't find it sweet because I'm not a massive Billy Paul shipper.
Yeah.
I think that they've been thrown together because this is part of the problem when you have a small number of gay characters in the street. They've kind of have to go together, haven't they?
They've got quite a lot of gay men on the street at the moment. They've just all been out with each other already.
But no, I still think that the age difference is... it doesn't quite work with me, and I know that's just personal taste. But I'm not really buying them as a couple. So when he's like, I'm kind of proposing to you, I think again at that point we were supposed to go, oh, this is so sweet, but I wasn't, because I don't feel that we've invested enough in their romance. Billy has just been there because Paul's been through some horrific, 12 months, what with the whole Cal thing, and Billy seems to have just got together with Paul because he wants to look after him. He wants to protect him, and he wants to, do his whole vicaring shtick. And I don't feel the romance between them. So this came out of nowhere. But yeah, the whole thing of just like...
what he did was open a massive can of worms, dump them on the floor, and then went, look at this gorgeous, amazing sentiment that I just... Like, why bring it up?
Yeah. It does...
You can get married in a church if you're gay.
But maybe not if you're a vicar. They just need to go to that church, that Unitarian church, don't they, in Duckinfield? Because, as we know, they don't have anyone.
I just don't understand how does Billy... We've heard lots of stuff about his struggle to be accepted, but I've not heard anything about his own personal belief system, about why it is okay for him to represent an organisation that discriminates against people like him.
Well, no, they had the story with Todd, didn't they? Because he had to move out of the vicarage because John the Bishop was having none of it. So it does kind of fit in with his personality, but it feels like it's just he's like, I know I feel like I'm doing the right thing. But yeah, like you said, he represents a community or a belief system that is preventing him from getting married. He said it
like,
just,
if marriage is so important to you,
he did stop being a vicar that time, didn't he?
I just find it really really frustrating that this massive kind of hurdle in their relationship and Billy's belief system is just thrown away in a sentence where he's like, and Paul's just supposed to go, cool, thanks for this representation of how little you care about your belief system discriminating against our love.
Yeah, it felt like it needed a bit more than that just throwaway line, but like maybe it'll come.
You can get married you can't get married in Church of England places, but you can get married in places of worship depending on which denomination and stuff.
Yeah,
I'm really confused about it, honestly, but why bring it up?
If Billy is an Anglican vicar, then he can't, and I think he's not going to say, let's just say, he's not going to go to a Unitarian church, say, necessarily, if that's not his denomination.
But I don't understand why, if it's so important to him, because he was basically like saying, I'll only get married to you if we get married properly, and we can't get married properly, so don't even bother thinking about it.
Anyway, so that was that.
Because it just made no sense to open that can of worms.
Yeah, they didn't
for
need
what
to.
Was supposed to be. I think the writers thought, we better address the elephant in the room here, and explain that they are committed to one another, but they can't actually get married because of the way the church views. And obviously Billy's, it just seemed such a simplistic way of thinking about it. The church won't allow him to get married, and Billy would definitely want to get married, but he can't, so he'll just give him a bracelet. How is that comparable in any way to getting married? And if I was Paul, I'd be a bit annoyed to be reminded of the fact that Billy is sort of implicit in a belief system that views gay relationships as lesser than heterosexual relationships.
In a way, I don't really want them to go down there
I
again,
don't
because
want them to
they did that
either.
to death. No, I don't want them to open up that kind of words necessarily in detail, because they did it with Todd, didn't they? They had a whole story that lasted a few months
I
about
that.
it.
I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was interesting, but do I want to see it again?
No, I don't want to see it again. So why bring it up at all? Why couldn't have Billy just gone, I love living with you. I think you're the best thing that ever happened to me. Here's a bracelet.
Yeah, I would have preferred that.
What the hell was all of this about?
It felt like a sly dig at the church.
It really did, and I don't think Billy would ever address that head on. And if he did, he would know that having a bracelet doesn't make up for not being married if that's what you want to do. Yeah. And if you really cared about it, you would be protesting and writing to bishops and taking on. If I wanted to get married, but I couldn't because of the organisation I worked for, I would be trying to change the organisation's belief systems. Honestly, I just thought this was insulting to the intelligence of the viewers and dig at the church, and it made Billy look stupid.
Billy's not come out of this week well. He's not going to be my character of the week, spoiler alert. But I may give character of the week to whoever it was, or person of the week, character, behind the scenes, prop maker, whatever, that has undrooped the robot eye in Billy's flat, because, as you know, I'm a big fan of spotting the robots in the background. We've had, how long has Summer been in the show? 3 years? Sometimes if it's a bit of a dull scene in there, I do like to check out the robots. And that one who's on the table behind the sofa for at least, a year and a half now, that left eye has been drooping, hasn't it? But lockdown has been good for DIY jobs around the house, and somebody has
fixed it.
So they didn't make a big fanfare out of it, but whoever it was behind the scenes at Corrie that did
You're
that.
the character of the week.
I've noticed that. I appreciate you, because that's been niggling me for a very long time.
Remember when Summer's personality was she likes robots? What happened to that? I'm really surprised that she didn't.
She should have made her some kind of robotic. She should have built like a service robot that brings the surprise party, or he comes in and then a robot comes along the floor. Here it is, but
don't forget that Summer's idea of building a robot was to build a statue of a robot,
it didn't have robotics,
not actually any kind of robotic mechanisms inside of it. I am I think it would have been a cool storyline to have had Summer using drones to deliver things from shops to people, because I think that if she's supposed to be into robotics, that would have been a cool thing to have explored, because it would be very, very easy to deliver things by drone in the vicinity of 3 streets when you can look out your window and do it.
Yeah, that would have been good.
It would have been good.
Finally, before we move on again,
Yeah.
what are we moaning about next? I can't remember what story's coming up next. We were talking recently or last week about surprise parties and everything, and who would do a surprise birthday party. I am calling you out because I have remembered that I also had a surprise thing for my 30th birthday party, and it was even better than Paul's surprise 30th birthday party. And this was, you might remember if you've been listening to the podcast long enough, but on my 30th birthday, Gemma organised something secret behind my back.
I can't remember if it was my idea or if it was Sarah's idea.
I don't remember, but at the end of the school on my 30th birthday, I was like, I've got to go home. Gemma, you for whatever reason said we've got to come home. We've had birthday tea or whatever, and then Sarah, who's one of my colleagues at school, was like, no, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you somewhere surprise. You got to get in the car. And I was like, no, honestly, Gemma's going to get really mad because I know what you're like. Honestly, Gemma says I've got to be home. So Sarah got me in the car, and I was like, okay, I'll just really, really quickly. And she took me down the road. We went to this newly opened ice cream place, which was brilliant. But I was like, thanks, guys. And there were some of my other teaching colleagues and everything were there as well. I'm like, this is really lovely. And then Gemma shows up.
I don't think it was my idea.
You had conspired with my colleagues at school to give me a lovely 30th birthday surprise at the ice cream place. That's how you do it.
But the thing is, though, that wasn't your only surprise, was it? Or
that wasn't my main birthday thing.
That wasn't your only birthday party?
No.
So that's why that was okay.
Yeah, I did enjoy that, but yeah. That was,
and nobody went to you, Michael, you can never eat ice cream again. I've just had a phone call from the doctor and he says you're lactose intolerant. And also, sorry, but your cat died.
Yeah, there was no soapiness.
And then you got there and the cat was there as well, going, meow!
That's true. I hadn't been made to have an awful birthday until that point. Right, let's get on with the one that I'm maybe a bit more interested in this week. I'm intrigued.
Are we going to talk about our theories?
Have we got theories?
I don't know.
Well, go on.
Right.
What's been going on with Johnny?
Johnny's come back. Still. Hooray! But Johnny's not there. And he hasn't told anybody.
He hasn't told anyone he's coming back.
Yeah, so he just arrives. Johnny's not there. I can't remember. Oh, Peter's there. And he's like, ooh, how's everything been? That
was another thing that made me annoyed watching Monday's episode, the fact that Jenny wasn't there. And I've talked lots on the podcast before about Jenny and Johnny never seem to ever have scenes together, and just literally his first scene back after 5 months, Jenny isn't there. It's just
I also don't understand why they had to make it that he didn't know, that nobody knew he was coming back, and he didn't bother telling anyone he was coming home.
I'd have preferred. I don't see the.
What was the point? I can understand the point of the viewer not knowing until he arrives that he was coming back, because it's surprising and interesting. But why did nobody else know that he was... What logical reason did he have to not tell people that he was coming home? They do this quite a lot on Coronation.
They do. They do have people just coming
I thought you were
back.
coming next week.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't care when they thought he was coming back. What am I supposed to get out of this? It's not more interesting when people come back. I mean, what's the dilemma here? She's only got 4 fish fingers, and now they can only have 2 each or something. Yeah. What's the point of this?
Any normal person would have said, right, I'm coming back now, put the kettle on, make me a cup of tea.
I know, yeah, I'm at the ferry port. Can you make sure I've got a hot dinner waiting for me, or do you want a Toblerone or something? I mean, that's rude, isn't it? He's come back from France and we're not in the EU for very much longer. He should have had a trunk full of...
Hang on a minute, we're not in the EU at all, are we? Are we still in it? I've lost track of what's going on.
Out of it, yeah.
Are we not? But we are... I thought... I don't understand. I don't want to make myself look ignorant of this.
We haven't left officially, I don't think, but we are going to.
Okay. Anyway, so Johnny's back, everybody.
And he hasn't told anybody, but don't mind that. And also, Johnny wants to know, where is Scott gone? And Peter says he's renting round the corner. And Johnny mentions they were friends, but now they're not friends anymore. Because of that horrible surprise party that Scott organised for him. On Wednesday, Jenny comes back and she is surprised to see Johnny and also really mad at him. And he says, I'm sorry, I just was out of sorts and couldn't come back. And she's just like, well, you know, why did you stay so long? Why didn't you come back? He won't admit why.
He's being very evasive, isn't he?
And she says, "You're sleeping in the spare room." And then Peter and Carla overhear them shouting at each other, which I thought was quite funny because they really were
going hammer and tongs at each other off screen.
I wondered whether that was recording of them shouting at each other.
Whether they were just standing off set. Yeah.
On Friday, Johnny's trying to suck up to Jenny and like, "Oh, I'll make you...
Morning.
How are you? Did you sleep all right?
English.
Yeah, I'll make you French."
This reminded me of what happens when Gemma and I have arguments sometimes. Because I know you're not supposed to go to bed in an argument, but sometimes, if Gemma's like proper mad at me... then I end up going to bed, and then and you're moody with me, and then the next morning I'll act all nice and normal. It's like, "Hi, got your cup of tea? Oh, how's your day going?" Like sometimes I might have seen you after school the next day. It's like, "How's your day been today?" And I just try to avoid it happening, and then you bite my head off. It's like, this issue has not been resolved.
Can you see where he's going wrong now?
No, I think it's a good tactic.
It doesn't work though.
It's never ever worked on me. But I live in hope for me. But I live in hope that one day if we have an argument and then I just act all normal, maybe you'll have forgotten.
We'll see, won't we? Jenny's not impressed, and she goes off to get a haircut, and she comes out of the salon and sees Scott there just walking along and says, "Oh, Johnny's back, but we're having an argument." And then Scott says, "Oh, I'll talk to Johnny because we used to be friends, and you need to stand up for your relationship." And he gives her all this flannel about, "Oh, you can tell when a relationship is important, and I know you guys are great together." And she's like, "You haven't ever seen us together. What are you talking about?" And he's like, "I just know. You just know these things." I thought that was very weird. I think that Scott just wanted a chance to speak to Johnny without him avoiding it.
Yeah.
So Jenny then is inspired by speaking to Scott to fight for her relationship. So she talks to Johnny to try and find out what is going on with him and why he's been so weird and why he's been hiding in France and why he didn't come back with her. And he won't really, he's just like, "I'm just dealing with loads of stuff right now." He should, like you said, he should have just gone, "I was just thinking about Aiden," and that would have been her cue to shut right up immediately.
Yeah.
They both admit that they're important to each other, so they just kind of draw a line under it, I guess. Have they? I don't know. Scott comes into the pub and Johnny is not happy to hear that Jenny's been talking to him about their fight. And then Scott says, "I want to talk to you," in the back. So he and Scott and Johnny go to have a conversation. And this is when it all looks like it's about to come out.
I really think... I kind of wish that they'd said it as a cliffhanger.
Scott says, "What's going on? What did you think when you first saw me after all that time?" And then... "Because
I've been on a diet and I've lost weight, did you notice?"
"Did you notice how great I'm looking with my hair? And I haven't even dyed it. I look great." Anyway, he says, "After what we did, pound for penny, your first thought was, how did that lunatic hunt me down?" And that's what we got left with here. And now we're going to find out. Surely they're going to have a discussion about what it is that what they share, what secret they share together.
And I honestly still don't know. I don't know whether it's been, released to the public, because every Tuesday that's when the spoilers for next week come out.
Right.
And I don't know whether Coronation Street has kept this a surprise. I think they should have done, because this has been a mystery for a very long time now, and it's not one of these mysteries that we're like, well, everybody's guessed, it's obviously blah blah blah. We haven't been given enough information to say, well, it's obviously this. I really don't know, and we still didn't get a whole lot more today. It felt to me that whatever it is that they've done,
so they've done something. So that's a clue.
They've done something, and it felt to me that Scott was the main one that did it, because he said, "How did that lunatic hunt me down?" So it makes me feel that Johnny at some point in the past has been dragged along in some kind of nefarious plot that
running
Scott...
into people's sisters and killing them in car crashes.
Well, I hope this doesn't turn into another Billy Susan Barlow retcon.
Yeah, when he says what we did, because before this we were like, are they related in some manner, or is there something to do with Scott having an affair, or Johnny had an affair with Scott's wife, or Scott had an affair with Johnny's wife, or some kind of like romantic entanglement.
Yeah.
Like, did they used to be gay? That would be a very Coronation Street thing to do at the moment, wouldn't it? Just retcon in somebody's sexuality.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
It can't be that, because they're too old to have had that dalliance and not batted an eyelash about it or thought about it since. I can almost buy them trying to say that Tracy would do something like that.
But I think that the way that they're talking to each other, it makes me feel like they have got up to some criminal activity.
Oh, you reckon it's a crime?
That's where I'm leaning at the moment.
Robbed a bank.
Yeah, and they've been able to keep it hidden for 20 years. But it could
maybe it was fraud.
Maybe.
They both look like...
I hope whatever it is, when they reveal it, I go, ooh.
Oh, how exciting.
And I don't just go, oh, it was that. And if it's something...
Used to be loan sharks.
I definitely don't want it to be anything along the lines of so-and-so is actually so-and-so's, insert relative here, because there's still something with Carla, isn't there? Because, do you remember, Scott was the one that... I don't remember, but Scott was the one that ended up beating up those two scallies that came after Carla, and people at the time were thinking, oh, is Scott really Carla's actual dad? And that was like, I really, really hope not.
No, because Carla had a DNA test.
Oh yeah, they had a DNA test that proved it was Johnny, and already we've had the reveal of Carla's dad isn't who she thinks it is. So if it is just some kind of family issue with a load of characters that we don't really know who they are, we've never met Johnny's ex-partners or anything, that would be a bit less interesting. I want them to have... I want them to have had a crime.
How could it be a crime that involves a child Carla who has no memory?
I don't know.
What crime would they have committed that would make Scott ultra protective of Carla? Or is that just a red herring and we're just supposed to go, oh, well, if they were really close enough to commit crimes with each other, then he would have been fond of Carla enough to beat somebody up?
Maybe.
And the fact that Scott is willing to immediately go to violence to solve a problem makes me think it's not something like fraud or some kind of white-collar crime. And it's going to be something really...
And the fact that he used the word lunatic.
Yeah.
So has
lunatic. Oh, I like that
Scott
word.
Killed somebody and Johnny's had to keep quiet about it all these years. I don't want it to be anything to do with his ex-wife who got run down by a car, because they already retconned that when they said the reason they didn't see the car was because he had MS.
Oopsie-daisy disease.
Yeah, because I up until this point I've not really been that gripped by the Scott story, but just that final scene today, it sparked something.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm kind of today's episode was a lot better.
Scott he's quite intriguing,
because he really does have a look about him. Like he could he could be a psychopath.
Yes, and I hadn't got that from him until today.
Yeah, lunatic.
So I hope we're going to see some of that side.
I love the word lunatic.
I really hope that fairly early on in Monday's episode we find out what it is, and I'm excited by it.
My favourite use of the word lunatic is when somebody's dad shouts it out of the window when they're driving at somebody else. There's lots of lunatics that like to drive badly, aren't there?
What? Yes, you think I'm a bad driver? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Oh, I thought you were just making a sly dig there. Yes, there are. As long as they don't...
I'm making a joke about the fact that people that drive badly are always called lunatics. Not a very good joke now, though, is it?
As long as they... The thing that I most don't want it to be is any kind of retcon. I don't want it... We were talking earlier. I don't want it to be something like they're responsible for the death of Jenny's child. They were the one that drowned Tom in the paddling pool.
Yeah, they're the one that made the paddling pool not up to EU standards so that it accidentally drowns children.
Yeah, I don't want anything like that. I hope whatever it is, it fits in with Johnny's character, because he's been on the show for, 4.5 years or so now. It's got to fit in. I don't want it to go... I don't want to go, no, Johnny wouldn't do that.
I reckon a robbery with some kind of violence attached to it. Wasn't there somebody who burgled somebody and they had a heart attack and died? Well, that was Gemma and Paul, wasn't it?
Paul, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not have that then, because that's already been done recently.
I mean, Johnny's been in the rag trade a long time, but I wonder whether some of the money that he had, maybe he bought his first business with the ill-gotten gains from some criminal enterprise.
So whatever it is, that they did, they have not been caught for it yet.
No.
And
Well, I mean, they
maybe they have, maybe they
haven't. They've served their time.
But Carla knows.
But no, Aidan and Kate would have said something.
Yeah, they would have remembered.
Yeah. One thing I was thinking...
Stealing from orphans.
One thing I was thinking during this is I hope it's not leading to an exit for Johnny. He's been very, very underused in these past few years. And if they were to, be getting rid of Johnny, it wouldn't make huge changes to the way the show has been. And I, sadly to say, because I do like Johnny, I think that he and Jenny have got fantastic chemistry. I mean that scene with Jenny and Johnny when they were having the reconciliation chat, and she was saying, "Oh, you're the most important thing in my life," or "I love you more than anything," whatever it is they said. I totally bought that. I think that those two actors have got a spark together, so it'd be gutting to me if this leads to them splitting up. What I can sadly foresee in the future is more Jenny shouting at Johnny. Because
when she finds out he's murdered all those kittens, she's not going to be happy about it, is she?
I think that he's going to be keeping the secret from her, and I'll be like, no, you got to tell her, because she's just going to get madder and madder, and she's going to suspect him.
She's going to be mad as well, because as soon as she finds out that he's been keeping his secret, and that's why he wouldn't come back from France, that's lies. He's been lying to this whole time.
He's been lying to her and keeping something quite big about his past.
Yeah.
And she's opened up to him. Hasn't she? She's been very honest and told him about everything. She told him about.
Well, she's been incredibly
the baby
vulnerable.
dangling incident. Yeah.
Yeah. She was at her lowest ebb, wasn't she?
Yeah.
When she kind of shacked up with Johnny.
Yeah.
And Johnny's always given the impression of being the big I am. So she'll probably be a bit like, I always felt inferior to you in this relationship, and like you were saving me, but it was the other way around, because you were a criminal who drove a train into that hospital for one-eyed puppies.
This feels...
And so I'm morally superior to you because I've never done that.
This story has got the potential for some really, really fantastic scenes.
Yeah, and
between Johnny
and
Jenny.
Exciting.
And between Johnny and Scott as well. I don't really need Peter and Carla to be involved, but I think they probably will be.
They've got their own problems.
But yeah,
I can't see it being improved by Peter and Carla being involved, because all that's going to happen is Carla will fold her arms and go, "I can't believe it, Dad. Why? How? Why? This is so disappointing." And Peter will be like, "Does anybody want to drink or take drugs? Because I can help you." Not do that.
I mean, Jenny could go back on the booze, couldn't she?
Well, there's no Liz around to run over this time.
There is no Liz around at the moment, no. Yeah, I think this has got the potential. Is it feeling like, an A story, a big story to you, or a side story?
It feels significant, but I don't think this is going to be a big year-long.
No, but I'm kind of, never really sure what the big stories are.
Because this is an exciting group of characters.
Yeah, the Ollie Wobbles story felt like it should be, the main story, and we almost get something from that story every week.
Yeah.
But it's not played out like that, and part of it is because they can't have Ollie on the screen, I guess. But I was honestly expecting to have, by this point in the year, seen an awful lot more of what's going on with Leanne, Peter, Toya, Imran, Steve, Tracy. There's enough characters in there that they can be rotated around and everything and get a lot there, but it's not much is going on there. And the same with this Todd story as well. I thought when it first started, I thought it was going to go one way and it was going to be a bit more serious and dark, and it's
What's more dark than Sean looking at dead bodies on the internet?
Oh yeah, okay, fine. So yeah, I hope this is a big story.
I bet you Sean used to go on rotten.com back in the day.
Really? What's that?
Where they used to have horrible dead body pictures.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I'm quite excited by this. Please, Corrie, don't let me down, because it's not been a great couple of weeks.
They're really not
Corrie.
good at sustaining big stories at the moment, are they?
No.
And interrupting them too with sort of feeble comedy stuff, which isn't working.
Yeah, come on. Let's do this, Corrie. Let's make this a great story, please.
The next story is about Daniel, and every single sentence begins in your write-up with the word Daniel.
It does, doesn't it? Apart from the last
final one. Daniel phones Nicky. Daniel phones Nicky. Daniel's talking to Jerry. Daniel leaves a message for Nicky.
That's basically...
Daniel's distracted at work. Daniel wants to see Nicky. Daniel goes to the bistro, and then he sees Nicky.
He's basically just pestering Nicky all week.
He's become a sex pest.
Yeah.
On Monday, he phones her up. She says she's busy. Why don't you talk to my friend? He phones her friend up and says,
Cherry,
do you know what Nicky does for me? And she's like, yeah, great. And basically, she didn't get that what Nicky does for him is look interested. Because on Wednesday, he talks to her about Bertie. And I know it's difficult to be enthusiastic about other people's children. But when you're being paid to, I think most of us, especially if we call ourselves professionals, would be able to muster.
Yeah, I'd have thought that she'd be an expert at faking it.
I know, apparently she can only do orgasm. She can't do conversation. So she's just there going, yeah, right, great, brilliant. Because Daniel's going, you know what? Bertie's such a remarkable human being that he can see beauty in a crisp packet. And Cherry's like, wow, that sounds amazing. And then he says, this isn't working. He says, you're lovely, you're just not her. And we don't know whether he means her as in Sinead or her as in Nicky.
Well, he looks at a photo of him and Sinead, well, it's mostly Sinead on the mantelpiece as he's saying it. And it did make me wonder that, is he saying, you're not Sinead? And if that was the case,
Nicky's
was
not
there a moment of realisation of...
I've
just realised that Nicky's not Sinead either, and that would have been quite a breakthrough moment.
But then he would have had to have admitted that he had feelings for Nicky as Nicky.
Yeah, and it would have followed on with him not badgering Nicky, which is what he's doing on Friday.
Yeah, so he then leaves a message on Nicky's answer phone. And on Friday, he's doing work at the solicitor's office because Adam said he would hire him, and now he has. And he's distracted. He keeps phoning Nicky, getting the answer phone, looking at his phone. When Adam comes back, he says, I'm going off to meet my friends. And Daniel says, I'm going off to meet my friends. And Adam says, no, you're not. You've got a job. Hey, all those Nicky money doesn't come from nowhere.
Exactly.
Well,
he should be working every blimmin' minute of the day.
Every minute he's not with Nicky, he should be earning money to be with Nicky.
Yeah.
He should become a cam boy.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. That's probably how she does a lot of her money during the...
Probably.
But she's in trouble, we know, because she needs the money, doesn't she?
Mm.
And it makes me wonder if that's related to her when she was in the hotel being like, oh, you can't come here, I've got to come to you. She can't afford the hotel rooms anymore or something. Anyway, so Adam says, no, you're not going anywhere, Sunshine. You've got a job now, you've got to work. But I'll treat you to lunch.
If you go and get it.
You go get it. We'll have pulled pork and mash from the bistro. So Daniel goes over there and sits around moping about in the restaurant while Ray takes his time signing some paperwork that's been given to him by this man who is moaning on about how he's got somewhere to go and he wants Ray to hurry up.
He says, I've got my date in the car.
Got my date in the car.
And then what does Ray say? Are you worried that a guide dog's going to overheat in the car or something?
It's really funny.
I like Ray today.
Yeah, he was great. This is the thing. Sometimes antagonists on Courier can be more exciting than the other characters because they're kind of like the battle axe characters where they don't care what people think. They just say what they want to say.
I've not been huge fans of Ray or Scott up until this point. I've been like, they're okay. They do a job, but they're not that exciting to me. But both of the characters today, I was like,
pretty good writing
quite funny,
for both of them, and really good performances as well. Because Ray was actually quite likable because he was laughing at this guy.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes off to water a pirate. What did you say?
Oh, I wrote it down because I was thinking I might score this week's out of splashed pirates.
The pirate.
He was going to go and splash the pirate. Yeah, that's what we say.
And Ray goes off to check to see how long the feed's going to be, and then oh no, before that.
No, it's after that. Then Nicky comes in. Don't read what my notes say. Just remember what happened, which was that Daniel's come in, and then
Nicky at some point...
Oh, no, Nicky has come in. Yeah, Nicky comes in and they kind of give each other the eye, don't they?
And she's like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, what the hell are you doing here? And then it becomes apparent that he's bought Nicky's time for his...
£500.
500 quid. And so... Daniel, when everyone comes back to the room, Daniel is still harassing Nicky and saying, whatever he's paying you, I'll pay double. I just need to see you. And she's like, leave me alone, stop being so creepy and weird. And this man's embarrassed because now Ray's like, oh, I see. When you said you were in hospitality, I know exactly what you meant now.
Yeah, because he'd recognised Nicky from when she used to loiter around his hotel.
Yeah, and this man has obviously only hired Nicky to make himself look good, but now everybody knows that he's hired her.
He's embarrassed.
Not worked now out at all. So he gets embarrassed and leaves, and Nicky's running after him, going... Give me my money, I've got bills to pay. You promised you'd give me £500. And Daniel's like...
These pokey stilettos for you.
I wore these stupid shoes for you. And Daniel's probably thinking, I hope she doesn't remember I said I'd pay double, because that's £1,000.
Did he say double? I thought he just said I'd match it.
No, I thought he said he'd pay double.
I don't remember.
So she comes running out. Everyone's outside now. And then Nicky gets mad and throws her shoe at this man.
Who throws a shoe, honestly?
And then the police arrive.
Because they just happen to be
Because
passing.
they're patrolling, obviously.
I thought it was going to be Officer Tinker that pops out, but no.
No, I thought it would be as well, but it wasn't.
Police with mask.
And then that's the end of the scene and the end of the episode.
Yeah, I don't know where that's going to go particularly. What are the police?
The police aren't going to do anything.
Nobody's done anything wrong yet, really.
Well, she's thrown
a shoe at him. As I say,
and if he says, "Look, I want her to be done for assault or something," I'm sure the police would go, "No." I'm sure the police would try and talk everybody down because they really don't want this kind of stuff to escalate, do they? Like, you don't need to take her to court because she threw a shoe at you. You don't get your money. You don't have to pay her. You go, everyone leave, and let's just not do it. Let's not shout at people in the street.
Yeah, it feels like it could just be diffused very quickly, and then Daniel can take Nicky away, and she'll say,
go,
"Well,
Daniel,
I suppose I better come and chat with you now, then."
Daniel, I'm so sorry. And
then she'll open up to him.
Yeah, she'll go like, life's been really tough because of COVID, and all my normal. But that's the thing. Like, if she's really so hard up that she's desperate for money, why doesn't she just fleece Daniel?
She's just fleecing him.
What, more than normal?
He probably would, wouldn't he? He'd probably pay for it.
Well, if she's like, she is a bit cold-hearted because she can see that he is mentally not well, and she's still taking his money and trying to fob him off because she feels guilty. If she feels guilty, she knows she's doing something wrong, but she doesn't feel so guilty that she's not gonna tell him to go and date her friend.
Well, yeah, she's trying to distance herself from him now, isn't she?
Yeah, because she thinks he's weird. And honestly, shouting at her in the middle of bistro is not making him look.
He looks utterly deranged, doesn't he?
Desperate and
really
needy,
sadly desperate, yeah.
And off-putting, incredibly off-putting. Because honestly, if you're Nicky, you've probably seen some very, very unsavoury, dodgy behaviour. And the way Daniel's acting and begging for attention, I honestly, if I was Nicky, would be afraid to be alone in a room with him.
I know,
what is he going to do? He might rape you. He might try to kill you.
Yeah, if she was starting to develop any feelings for him, like, she needs to take a look and think, no, I don't think it's...
No, I think this has gone weird now.
Yeah. I'm still quite interested in the story. I was a bit disappointed we didn't get to see more of this because it
this
did feel
interesting.
Felt a bit repetitive with the phoning and the answer phoning and everything, but it feels like, I'm kind of hoping that early on in Monday's episode we get Nicky opens up to Daniel's scene.
But I can't see
I still don't feel we know her yet.
Yeah, but I don't like her still, and I don't know.
But that's what I want to hear from her.
What can she say that's going to make me go, oh, great?
She can just get out a sub-story. And
I don't understand also, how can she be hard up if she's charging 500 quid for an afternoon?
I know.
I mean, she's not, I'm assuming, I don't want to
She's got very expensive tastes.
But I'm assuming that she's not paying a third of that in taxes. And I don't think she's got a pension plan either, but I could just be maligning the woman.
She likes her Gucci, and she's got a habit to...
You can buy a lot of Gucci for 500 quid.
Okay, so yeah, that story is, again, like the Johnny one. Both of those two stories, this is the thing, have really got the potential to carry on being even more interesting on Monday. So does the Todd one, to be honest. Don't let me down, Curry, come on. And it looks like we're going to start to see a bit more of the Yasmin story as well, because we saw a little bit of this earlier. Yasmin's had her operation. Alia gloats to Geoff about it, that Yasmin is now back and stronger than ever, or she's back the way that she used to be, and she's going to get out and she's going to kick your ass, basically.
I think that Alia thinks that Yasmin's been given like a bionic heart, also like a robot body.
Maybe. And then Geoff does some angry hoovering.
Oh, he gets mad at his vacuum because he keeps pulling it out of the wall.
Yeah, because he hasn't unravelled it properly. All this time that he's been making Yasmin do all the cleaning, he doesn't know how to do it himself. Yeah. Do you think that when we see Yasmin again, she will be back to normal? And is that okay? Will we have been cheated seeing her, getting back to normal? What
do you want to see, like a montage of her playing tennis?
It feels like we deserve to see her recovery.
But the plot can't progress while she's recovering. It's not like a sports movie where she's training, is it? It's literally going to be a series of conversations where she says to Alia, "Oh, I feel 20% better, and now I feel 30%."
I still think though she's going to have another wobble. She may well be in fighting spirits when we see her next, but I think that get her on the stand or whatever, and she could well crumble. But I'm looking forward to the smile being wiped off Geoff's face eventually. Still,
well, the plot's not going to go much further until Elaine is found.
Yeah, there's still the mystery of that, and that address that Tim threw away.
Still not been mentioned.
And I would have thought the bins would have been collected.
They've got to have been by now, haven't they?
Even though it's maybe only been 4 days worth of plot time.
I don't know how long we're supposed to think has passed.
Yeah, so happy to see this story, but that they are treading water with it a bit. But I want to see this new rejuvenated Yasmin soon, please. So
me too.
We have had a big old moan about today's Corrie, and I'm sure people have been very sick of us moaning, because I probably would have been at this point. But we do it out of love. And to those of you who really did enjoy this week, I am so pleased for you, because even when I hate something, I still enjoy knowing that people are enjoying it as well. And I maybe get a little bit jealous, but I don't begrudge you enjoying it.
It often is a question that haunts me when I think, what's the reason that I didn't like this but I liked that? Was it bad, or was I in a bad mood, or was I not in the right place to enjoy this, or what was it? Because
this week I was not in a bad mood before watching Corrie. Because I thought about that. I thought, has this just been a funny week for me? No, I was willing to give it a shot, and it fell flat. I got a bit annoyed at Billy for being a bit of an arse. I didn't like the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
No.
I don't want another drug story or an affair storyline, and what are they doing to my dear Abby? The Todd one is throwing up. It's not giving me enough answers quickly enough. Yeah, there were a number of things that just didn't work for me. So I'm just going to go straight in there, and I'm not going to score this out of Splash Pirates now. I'm going to give this 2 uninterested sex workers out of 5, and it would have been in the ones if it wasn't for today. I'm not saying that today's episode was,
a 5.
brilliant, but it was okay.
It was an average. It felt like an average episode.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. It did. But honestly, before today's episode, I was thinking this could be my lowest scoring week. I could have given it a 1.5.
Yeah, I just don't think we really have articulated what exactly was so bad about the first 2 episodes. And looking back on the plot, when you read out what happened, there's nothing really that stands out to me as offensively bad, but just something about it, like I said before, it kind of felt soulless. And
it was Johnny getting back and Jenny not being there. It was Paul's rubbish birthday surprise. It was the dancing. It was Summer's lackluster reveal of the birthday surprise. It was the more drugs. It was the cliffhanger on Monday where Johnny finds Peter and Abby out in the Ginnell and they make a cliffhanger out of that, even though really it'd be fairly unremarkable to find them out there. It was.
I just honestly do think that the convoluted birthday thing with Gemma and Paul was such rubbish. It just it really made everything worse, because it made no sense. It felt like a desperate, quick rewrite of something that they wanted. It's like they had an idea of what they wanted, and then they couldn't do it, so they kept bits of it, but it didn't work. Just didn't work.
Yeah.
And I think Coronation Street is in a bad place at the moment of compromising ideas because of COVID instead of thinking of something different. Or coming up with a more creative way of overcoming that problem, because having a socially distanced wedding was silly. Having this party, it was silly, because you could tell they wanted to have it inside with everybody dancing to Let's Get Ready to Rumble, but they couldn't. And it also becomes confusing because Gemma couldn't have gone round Paul's house to have a party with him because of COVID, but they could dance in the street, so that's what they did. But Bernie lives with Gemma and Summer lives with Paul, so they've mixed up real life and on-show social distancing to just make everything look really, really weird. And I know they're doing the best they can, but I honestly think that it's not working out.
I think generally the socially distancing
I think they're trying to save. Yeah, I know, but I think they're trying to save stories that they already had planned that they can't do properly because of COVID. And I think that they should not do some of the stuff that they had planned and just accept that it can't be done.
I'm sure that there have been things that have been dropped. The thing is that Gemma still does have a big fan base out there. If you look at Facebook, if you look at Twitter, there are an awful lot of people that...
You can't judge anything from social media.
That find her hilarious.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying you can't... Like, you would also think that everyone hates Gemma from looking at social media.
Yeah, it depends where you look, doesn't it?
It does.
So for those people, they probably loved it. And if I was in charge of a show and I saw that this character's got a big fan base, then yeah, give her a happy birthday.
I don't want to hate Gemma. I used to really like her and think she was great. Anyway, I'm going to give this week 2 boxing birthdays, because that did make me laugh.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe I've never thought of this before.
Birthday Eve. Birthday, boxing birthday.
Brilliant.
I don't think I've ever heard a boxing birthday before. But
no, but that's a great idea.
That's because you got the whole month.
I've got birthday.
You don't need a boxing birthday.
No, that would be just even more.
You got like an
elaborate
advent of birthday.
Yeah.
Right.
Character of the week.
Oh yeah, character of the week.
Difficult to select somebody. Maybe Scott for being a dark horse and actually being interesting.
I honestly can't give it to anyone in the Abby story. Can't give it to anyone in the Todd story. Can't give it to anyone in the Gemma. Can't be Scott, because he's only had
Johnny,
2
or Scott, surely.
scenes. I mean, Daniel was interesting, but he is being a creepy weirdo, and I know he's going through grief, and that's bad, but he is, isn't he? Alia still gets on my nerves a little bit, even though I know she's right.
Yasmin wasn't in it. Geoff was molesting a vacuum cleaner.
I am going to give it to Miss Jennifer Connor, because I think that she was right to give Johnny what for and keep going on at him and not giving him an easy ride for coming back and saying, oh, well, I'm back now.
Oh, so you admit that she was in the right to be in a miffy mood with him and not accepting his peace offering of brunch.
In this case, yes, but I've never done anything like Johnny's done, so that's fine.
You've stayed in France for longer than Johnny has.
So, yeah, I'm gonna give it to Jenny.
You lived in France for a year.
And there was that time that I didn't come back for your 21st birthday because I was living in France. But
yeah,
let's not
talk about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it to Jenny just because I like Jenny.
I'm gonna give it to Scott because I like the fact that he describes himself as a lunatic. I think it takes a great deal of self-confidence to do that, and I hope he turns into a really scary villain.
Yeah.
The fact he called himself a lunatic makes me wonder. Because before this, we thought Johnny was in France because he was ashamed of what he'd done. Could it be he's actually terrified of Scott?
Well, yeah, maybe.
That makes me a lot more excited about what Scott's going to get up to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we've ended on a high. We've ended on a high, haven't we? That's
still only gets 2 out of 5.
Okay, well, there we go.
Let's not be
Let's hope for positivity next week.